All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of The Reality Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been away and we are back bigger and better. Last week, we didn't manage to do the show, and of course, this week we are bigger and better, of course, with Wakili himself. But before we go to that other side of the show, thank you so much for always watching, sharing, and making sure that each and every day we grow as the Reality Kenyans doing this. So today we have a lot to talk about, and of course we want to go straight to the show as usual. Share with your friends, share with everyone, and we are live from the Learned Corner as usual. And our guest each and every day is the Deputy Party Leader, Safina Party, Honorable Wakili Willis Otieno. Piki ponki.
Paka melodisco.
Paka melodisco. Paka njobi melodisco kaje.
Paka was melodisco. In Siaya, then it went to Naivasha.
Yes.
Now it's back in Nairobi.
Kabisa.
And there's a lot happening.
True.
You know, what is now occupying the minds of our people is the main issue is now the finance bill, the coming budget.
Yes.
And the economic pain which it promises. Already the people of Kenya are feeling the pain. In fact, the cost of living is becoming unmanageable. And people are complaining in their numbers. Then now you see a move by the administration to come up with new levies, raised taxes. And this is just an indication of how much pain we'll be feeling from August into September, to the new year, after the budget. And you see, unfortunately, I believe that this administration has missed the point. They believe that they are going to address our economic challenges by raising more tax on the people and levies. Look at, for example, when you come up with a housing levy of 3% of the salary, you are increasing NHIF, NSSF contribution. You've raised income pay as you earn for those who are earning more than 500,000 to 35%. It's 30% now. Now it is 35%. The civil servants union have done their computation, and it means that the government will now be taking 52% of the salary.
So you go with
civil servants, you go with 48%. And this 48% that you are left with, you are still going to use it to pay what you call the indirect taxes. You still have the VAT that comes in, the fuel levy if you fuel your vehicle. So for a civil servant, I believe if you take the totality of all the tax measures that they are going to face, this man will be going home with only less than 25% of his pay. Yes, because after taking the 52% of his salary, he will pay VAT on consumables. He will be paying fuel levy on any time he buys fuel, kerosene or petrol or diesel. He will also be paying other hidden government costs that come up with those items which have levies. The power, all of those hidden, and the amount goes up. So in essence, you will be taxing 25%. But that will be okay if the government was providing services commensurate with what it is taking from the people. In some countries like Denmark, the Scandinavian countries, you find that the pay as you earn sums are above 40%. But you find the government guarantees you free education up to the time when you stop. Even if you want to go to do your PhD, you have universal free health care. You never pay even a coin
to be treated
if you
get
medication. They are guaranteed pension. The government provides housing for those who cannot or afford their own houses. So in a working system, even if the taxation was that high, but the government provides the requisite services. But in our case, you are still at the mercy of ravages of the society. You will still be having to deal with your issue of your health care, issue of paying for your own education, your own security. It's still a problem. So in my view, it's going to be tough on the people of Kenya going forward. And there is no guarantee that even if these measures are implemented, that you are going to see a change in the quality of life that the people of Kenya are living. If anything, when you raise too much tax, punitive taxes in the manner that is being proposed, you will end up stifling production. Remember what I always told you? As we are about production, they are about distribution. They think that we now go and get it, then we distribute.
Through taxes.
So that you can distribute. But that simply is what you call the law of diminishing returns. The more you tax people, you reduce productivity. And what ends up happening is that once you reduce your productivity, even the amount of tax that you are collecting will go down. Let me give it a practical example. You are running a small business, and with these new measures, the business cannot afford.
Let's say a shop somewhere.
The business cannot afford. You are employing 3 people, 4 people. So your only option will be you can tell the 4 people you're employing that now, for me to meet my statutory obligations, I can't maintain only 3 or 4 of you. So 2 have to go. So that only 2 employees will be there. Now it means this business will have reduced the amount it is paying as pay as you earn. So only 2 people will be doing the work. Employers will opt to now put employees in do away with employment contracts. If they need someone, they can have him as a consultant. Go and pay your own. So government is going to collect less, in my view, than what they are collecting today when you implement some of these measures. And the consequence will be that the amount of money that you have at the exchequer will be less. It will not increase. It will only go down. And the problem which they are not dealing with, that to me is the primary problem, is a problem of debt. Because if you are using almost 70% of your revenue in paying debt, and so you think that the only way you are going to get a breather is by collecting more taxes. It should not be that way. It should have been the other way around. That the only way to boost your revenue base is to create an environment that you should be able to produce more. So that the more your people in production, the more people will be paying taxes to government. But these punitive measures end up restricting. It shrinks productivity. People will not now invest in your economy. And so this economy will be collecting less and less every year. So the debt problem will still be there. Your revenue will go down, but you'll have more people out on the streets, unemployed and desperate. And this, to me, is going to be a big challenge to our country, because you are now what I can term as a melting pot. A melting pot in the sense that more and more young people who ought to be productively engaged by the state. There is no conducive environment for them to participate in economic production of this nation. There are less and less job opportunities, and with a very punitive tax regime, they will not be able to get even into employment. With high cost of living and high cost of doing business, they will not even be able to do any business. Now, but they must live. So what will be the consequence? This is what we call social disintegration. Because then the society starts disintegrating. You are seeing more incidents of insecurity, armed attacks. You are seeing more incidents. So yes, more incidents of drug abuse, prostitution. People trying to do anything to make a living or to get out of their desperation. And you know, when you are in your most productive years and you're not engaged economically, it is very easy for such a person to move into a state of depression. So when you have a depressed population, so many social ills start taking place. So we must look at this thing holistically. And holistically should mean that what should the state be doing to create an enabling environment that can absorb our people into participating in gainful productivity, participate gainfully in economic activities that will not only benefit them, but also benefit the state. I don't think that is a conversation that people are having in those rooms. I think they are just staring at their debt.
How to manage the debt and get the tax.
And if you notice, last month I told you there was a delay in paying civil servants.
Yes, sure.
This month the same has happened. I believe next month it will be the same.
Yes.
So the can is still being kicked down the road.
Yeah.
But at some point that this is going to catch up with us, and it will expose the country. Either we are going to have a debt default, we don't pay those debt, or we are going to have a situation where government is going to be forced to reduce its workforce. Now, in a depressed economy, you take a measure of releasing workers, retrenching or sacking a certain cadre of workers. So you're just adding more and more people into the unemployment corner. Instead of hiring more, creating a conducive environment for people to actively participate in production. So it's going to be tough for Kenyans, in my view. And there's no end in sight. Remember what I said, the shilling has not strengthened at all against the dollar. And with more and more of these measures, we are going to see inflation.
So it's even going to be more weaker.
The shilling is going to be more weak. And the cost of doing business, the cost of production will be higher. There was that hullabaloo about the price of unga coming down.
Have gone down.
And Kenyans in their numbers have looked for this unga.
Some of them are having funny names that you've never had.
Yes, so, but it's not available. You know, a government cannot start, we don't have price control mechanism. The market forces should determine the price of basic goods and commodities. Such that even when you say that the price of unga has gone down, number one, it didn't go down, or if it went down to just one particular brand. Maybe they were clearing stock. For a few days, then it went back to the usual 179, 200, still above 200. Now, the cost of living, and this is where we miss the conversation. When we talk about the cost of living, we are not just talking about the cost of unga ugali. The cost of living is a bigger component than just the price of unga. And whatever measures as a state we need to take should be measures that deal with the totality of the cost of production.
The entire
value chain. How do we reduce the cost of production in this country? How do we reduce on our imports? How do we profile ourselves to be an export-based economy so that we are able to earn more foreign exchange? We are earning revenue for the nation. If you look today at our foreign exchange earners, the high foreign exchange earners, number one I think is tea, 110 billion. Coffee is earning us around 20 billion. Tourism has come down to almost less than 20 billion. So what is this that we are coming up with that is going to earn us more revenue? The coffee sector, for example, or the tea sector, why are they not hitting over 300 billion? Because if you are able to earn more in Forex, then your economy starts feeling being in a stronger position as compared to your trading partners. You have more foreign exchange, you are able to trade better, and you are able to have your dollar reserves. But if you are earning from the foreign market less and less dollars, but you need more dollars to import goods, you end up being in a weaker position, and your shilling, in my view, will not be able to sustain the pressure that comes with that kind of an activity. And this, to me, should have been the conversation that we are having as a country. What do we need to do to enhance productivity? What new products can we take out in the market? How do we enhance our tourism? How much can we earn from our tourism? If we are earning 20 billion today, how do we get it to 100 billion? What measures do we need to take? If our tea is earning us 110 billion, what do we need to do to take it to 200 billion, 300 billion within a year? How can we boost our coffee productivity from earning 20 billion to earning us 200 billion? Now, when we start making such kind of conversation, then the quality of life in this country will change. But for as long as we are not paying attention to the production end of our economy, we are just talking about the collection end. You are collecting from a source that is drying. It is depleting. It's like you have a well.
Yes.
And you've been drawing from that well every year, and you're in a drought situation. That well is drying up. You should be asking yourselves, what other sources of water can we have? Is there any river nearby that we can tap from its waters? What canals can we create? If it's rainy season, what kind of water harvesting can we come up with that we can reserve? But we're not doing that. We are simply saying this well must feed our animals. This well must give us water. But the well is drying up. Before you deal with the issue of how to stall the drying up of this well or how to create alternative sources of water, the well will dry up and you will be dealing with now a catastrophe. You will not have any water. That, unfortunately, is where we are today.
And if you, at some time back, the Prime Cabinet Secretary said that it will take Kenya around 2 years to recover economically. In your view, do you think that that will be too long for Kenyans to wait regarding what we are going through right now? Because if right now it is already a depressed economy, you know that there is also a meme going around that we are a depressed generation, hiding in good photos and and good clothes. So looking at what's happening right now, and the budget is just about to be read, and you are looking at the proposed taxes and the levies. If we give it another 2 years from now, do you think that will be too long for Kenyans to survive?
You know, one thing that you must note is that when you say that the economy will recover in 2 years' time, you should not tell us the economy will recover in 2 years' time. You should be telling us we are doing A, B, C, D. And when A, B, C, D is fully operational, these will be the consequences of it. The economy will have recovered. It is not just for you to say the economy will recover in 2 years' time without telling us what measures you are taking that will make that economy to recover in 2 years' time. The other day, you remember when the president said that the price of gas will, by June, we will be buying gas at 500 Kenya shillings. 300, between 300 to 500.
300 for the 6 kg and 500
for the 13 kgs. June is 2 weeks away. I dare you, on the 2nd of June, go to your local gas distributor. You will not find any gas going for 300 to 500 shillings.
And you say it here when I think 2 months.
2 months ago I said it. Because it is not government, we are not in a price control mechanism. Our country is anchored on a capitalist approach. The market forces determine the prices of goods and services. It is not the days when Moi we had a price control mechanism where the president will say these are the prices of basic goods and services.
And it works that way.
And it worked that way. Because it forces you to bring subsidies. Now what should happen? The price of gas should be determined by what measures the government has done that automatically will lead to
that
price going down. So if you just say it but you don't do anything, the price will remain where it is because market forces will determine the price of that gas. So also in 2 years' time, if you don't do anything that is helping or guiding the market towards a particular point of stabilization, then the cost of living, the economy will not stabilize. So what the administration should be focusing on is what interventions are we taking? We are doing this, and if we do this in its full totality, it will lead to this. This will lead to this. Then you can say the economy will stabilize. But the unfortunate bit in my view is that we have too much talk and less action. But if there's action, the people of Kenya are not part of the conversation and they are not seeing it. Our administration, when we are in power, will be working with the people. You will be explaining to them everything, and we will tell them these are the interventions we are proposing. And these interventions are short-term or long-term, and in their totality, they will lead to this. And you will see the quality of life that the interventions bring to you. This current administration is more heavy on, for example, talking about we'll build, we will give now prisons, we are going to spend 5 billion on prison industries, we are going to do this. No. Government will build houses. Affordable housing. I was watching today, somebody was saying on TV, a very interesting comment, that if Kenyans have over 5 million houses in Kenya today, and those 5 million houses have not stabilized our economy, what will 1,000 units, new units built in Siaya do to stabilize our economy? I mean, housing, the issue of housing, in my view, housing should be left to private sector. Government has no business building houses for anybody. Because you have capacities in the private sector to build houses. And the private sector will respond to a need. If I am an investor and I have money in my pocket, and I'm seeing a market for housing, people don't have housing and they have money, then I will build the houses that they will be able to buy, or even to rent. But when government says now it wants to become a businessman to build houses, a landlord to collect rent, where's the economies of scale? What are we dealing with here?
And actually, some people are also saying that the 3%, you see, the president actually said that they were proposing a 3% reduction
housing levy,
so that they can build. So somebody was arguing, like, you're working in Busia, you are earning 30,000. The 3% is taken to build a house in Murang'a. How is that?
That's what I'm saying. Government cannot do these things. And government should not even try. These are things that should be driven by the private sector, not the government. But when a government moves to become a developer, it misses the point by a huge margin. Because what you end up doing is you're committing yourself to ventures which are just depleting your limited resources. But they have almost zero impact. Because remember the time when Lulu came up with the Big Four? The Big Four agenda. And housing was one of them. And he committed to build 500,000 houses for people of Kenya. I laughed it off because I knew that's impossible. How long will it take you, and what will be the cost?
And the impact.
The impact. It will be negligible. I don't think they did 10,000 houses, even 5,000 houses. I don't think they get to 5,000 houses. I don't think. I'm yet to see the statistics. But it is not the work of government to build houses. The market responds to the needs. Let's come up with an economic environment that the private sector will respond to a demand for those houses. And the private sector will build a house that is affordable from the common man to the richest man. So that you'll find even in Nairobi, the private sector, if we are operating an environment that people are able to afford those houses in the first place, they will say, I think if I build a house that is worth 500,000 Kenya shillings, I can get a market. Because I know there are this huge number of Kenyans who have money in their pockets and they need housing. And if you are working and you have 1 million shillings, you will spend it to buy that house for yourself. The same market will see we have another cadre of Kenyans who they are working, they're engaged economically, they can raise 5 million shillings to build a house or to buy a house. Now let me build a house for them, locate in a place where they can access. And you'll see this group coming to buy. But when government goes out there to start building the houses, I don't know if it wants to be on behalf of the private sector. Is it the rental income they're looking to? Do they hope they're going to sell the houses? But selling presupposes that the market is capable of buying. Now, if your market is depressed, if your market cannot afford the units, you are going to be stuck there with 5,000 housing units that no one can buy, doing nothing. And you are now going to be forced to expend more money to maintain those units.
Yes.
You will end up being forced to give them out for free.
Yes.
But you have poured in billions of shillings into the project.
Yeah.
Why not use those billions of shillings in another way that enhances economic growth?
Yeah.
Then once people have money in their pockets, they will naturally, nobody does want to be accommodated.
Yeah.
There will be a natural inclination to look for a house that befits the person's economic earning and his capacity. So the private, that's why I say the private sector is the one that should be driving this kind of a conversation. It's not government. But politically, maybe it may look appealing to tell people, to the eyes of the common man, that we are going to build for you houses. But you can never build. I've told you, who came up with Big Four?
Yes.
Their target was 700,000 houses.
Yeah.
I don't think they got to 10,000 houses that were built.
And now
and
we
concluded.
it from there.
The current administration has picked it.
Yes.
I can assure you, as tomorrow follows today,
It's not going to.
there is no day government is going to put up at 20,000 houses in a year or two. And find a market-driven demand for those houses. You may have a social demand for them. Social in the sense that people need houses, yes. But will you get value for money? So that the market will quickly respond to your demand. What ends up happening in some of these government ventures, like NHC housing units that were put up, is that you find those who are already overhoused, somebody who has 3 or 5 houses, they are the ones who will go and acquire those government houses at a cheaper rate and become now new landlords.
They now have 6 or 7.
They have now 6 or 7. But you are not dealing with a social problem that government may have set out to deal with. That we are building houses for the poor man, for those who can't afford. But I'm saying that should not be the purview of government to become a house developer. Government should provide a platform that creates an empowered population that has a demand for houses. And we have no scarcity of private developers, both in Kenya and abroad, who, if they see there's a market and a demand for housing here, they will bring in their money and build units that are able to accommodate the demands of the market. We've never lacked that.
Wow. As we wind up, Wakili, if you look at the Labor Day celebrations, you know, as it has been the norm, people always know that Labor Days are always days when the administration come up with measures to, to make life more easier for the workers and the business people, anybody who is working in any way or the other, in terms of taxes, in terms of working conditions, salary increment, or particular reduction in terms of taxes and everything. But if you looked at the Labor Day celebrations, it was more of a political rally than the national holiday that we have been used to. Don't you think that, in your view, do you think that it was one of the misplaced ceremonies of that day as far as the interest of the Kenyans was concerned?
Of course, the conversation on Labor Day, it's supposed to be about the workers, celebrating our workers. And it's a question of a time for us a day for us to reflect the condition of work for our workers. It's a time for us to introspect on what can we do to improve the working conditions or the labor relations, let me call it the labor relations in our job market. So that, in my view, the conversation on that day should be primarily fixated on an improved labor environment that is beneficial to both the worker and to the employer. So that it should not, in my view, be a day to discuss politics, because then you dilute the messaging of the day and the present need that the Kenyan worker and even the Kenyan employer is facing. For the first time, I think after COVID, the only time that we didn't also have a salary increase was during 2020 Labor Day celebrations. But that was because of COVID. But you remember that time the then administration had come up with what they call social safety measures that were meant to cushion the Kenyan worker and the general population, to 14% on all items. So, and also it was a global pandemic, so the Kenyan workers understood that, that because of this, even if we didn't have a salary increment, we were going through a pandemic, but still some measure had been taken that was going to ease the pressure that we are facing on our earnings. But this year, you don't have any conversation around salary increment for the workers, minimum wage. You are not explaining or having a conversation around why we are not having the minimum wage increased. Employers who will not wish the minimum wage to be increased, you are not addressing them on their fears that even if it was increased, it is because of ABCD, and we are doing this to improve, to make it better, to address the challenges. To me, that was a lost opportunity. But it speaks to the lack of innovation and the lack of depth in those who organize some of these functions. Because this, to me, was a day that we should have been having a fair conversation between the workers and the employers on how to better the relationship and how to address the challenges that people are facing in the workplace. But that did not happen. So what ended up happening is that you left with a political speech, but the theme of the day, the issues of labor relations, were not addressed. You are put aside. And the worker doesn't know when his condition will improve. The employer doesn't know when his sphere of business is going to change. They are still left at the place where they were before the day, and they are only seeing now new levies coming up, seeing enhanced tax measures. There is something interesting that also is being proposed, what we are calling the turnover tax, that you will pay 5% tax on your turnover, irrespective of whether you make a loss or a profit as a business. Now, turnover tax has been declared unconstitutional before by the High Court. Because when I go out to do business, my turnover, the volume of sales I've made 1 million sales, worth of sales. But look at the expenses that I've had to incur
to make that
to make the sales. That is just the sales. It may be that the cost of maintaining the business for that particular year are around a loss. My expenses plus operating costs add up to 1.5 million. So my turnover may be 1 million, but I've made a loss of 500,000 because my operating cost for the business plus expenses are 1.5 million. So how does the government again come to tell me I pay a turnover tax of 5%? That is unconstitutional because I've made a loss. You cannot pay tax on a loss. There was also this proposal that for those who have a complaint, or if you wish to raise an appeal against a decision of the taxman, is that you deposit 20% of the sum in court. Now, if the taxman slaps you with a tax demand or a tax claim of 20 million, you must put in 20% of it before you can, that's 4 million, before you can go to court. Now, the very reason why I'm going to court is because I am disputing. I don't have it. I am not accepting. I don't know how they came up with the computation. Then now you're telling me I cannot access that. For you to be heard, I must put the 20% of the money. That's not possible. You know, these are the things that I'm saying are punitive in their nature. And I do hope that Parliament will be able to deal with this issue objectively and fairly. These are not the kind of conversation that we should be having within a political environment. This should be a question, a genuine conversation around how do we improve the lot of the people of Kenya? How do we improve their lifestyle? What are the economic measures we are taking that will ease the pain but address the challenges of the economy today? And explain to Kenyans, even if you wanted to increase the tax, walk us through how this increase in tax is going to address the economic challenge. And how we are going to manage. And how, as we increase the tax. And also, you know, when you are asking me to pay more money, There should be what you call responsible spending, so that you cannot be living an ostentatious life as a government, being very extravagant in spending. And yet you want to tax the people more. You start by being frugal yourself. Be very frugal into spending.
Expenditure.
People should see that you are walking the talk. You are living your statement that the economy is depressed. So even your spending, cut down the excess fat. Trim your government. You should even be having now, if it were me, our administration, we are going through this kind of we will be having even only 10 ministers. And a minister, one car, and one bodyguard come driver. But when you are seeing nowadays all ministers having a minimum three cars, plus chase cars, with a bevy of bodyguards all over them. You are holding meetings in resort hotels. You should be lean. The president should even be having a motorcade of less than 5 vehicles. Let people see you living in a very frugal manner, that you are saving every coin as government. Then, when you're telling them we are coming up with these tax measures because we are going through economic turbulence, they will understand. But you can't tell me that you're increasing the tax and you are very ostentatious. And you are being very extravagant in spending. People will start seeing that you are just asking more money from us to support your lifestyle.
As we wind up, what's your parting shot on all these that are happening as we soldier on?
My parting shot is that Kenyans, this is the time to exercise what you call eternal vigilance. And Kenyans need to call on their members of parliament and send them text messages. Send them text messages, send them petitions, go to their homes and tell them what our views are on these issues. We want to see a conversation that is about improving our lives, not a conversation that is just to cause us pain. And we need to put pressure on members of parliament not to vote along party lines. Each member of parliament, at the end of the day, they were voted on a premise that they will improve the conditions of lives of their constituents. And this is the time when Kenyans need to bombard their members of parliament in any way possible and ask them to make the right decision for the benefit of this country. If increasing taxes for the benefit of the country, explain to us. If it is not, you cannot take a decision just because the political leadership wants it.
Thank you so much, Wakili. Of course, we've had an amazing conversation, and of course, this is one thing that people really wanted to understand and know about the issue of this levy, the taxes, and how it's going to affect our economy in terms of production and the livelihood of our people. And we thank God that you've explained it, and we also thank you so much for always taking your time to make sure that the Reality Kenyan show runs each and every week, and always being on the show to explain each and everything that we always try to understand. So thank you so much. Until next week, each and every person who has been watching, thank you so much. This is the Reality Kenyan, and my name is Simi Kenya. Share with your friends, share with everyone, because this is where we meet all your questions and give you all the affordable and the best answers. Thank you so much.
Asante
sana. God bless you.
Good day.
Asante sana.
Thank you.